Look around you. Right now, at this exact moment, there are 8 billion people on this planet. More humans alive than at any point in history of our species. A study from Harvard revealed that 2 in every 1 American feels lonely. Not occasionally, not briefly, but persistently, deeply, structurally lonely. So what exactly is going on? Makes you think, right? Makes you question. The World Health Organization calls it a global health crisis. They say loneliness contributes to over 871,000 deaths every single year. That's 100 people every hour dying, in part because they feel alone. So how do we get here? We are connected more than ever. We have more tools for communication, more than any civilization that ever existed. We can reach anyone at any time, anywhere, in seconds. Yet something has broken. Something fundamental, something that no app can fix. Today I want to go deep. I just want to explore loneliness, the way it actually deserves to be explored. You see, loneliness isn't just a feeling, it's a signal. And if we learn to listen, it can change everything. Let's start with something simple. The word loneliness. It traces back to Latin, meaning alone. That's where solitary also comes from. Soul, the one, singular. But notice, solace is not inherently negative. A solo performance is celebrated. A sole survivor is a miracle. Being the sole witness to a sunset is honestly one of the most beautiful moments, and can be a moment for anyone. So what turned alone into lonely? That is the question I want to explore. The suffix ly in English typically signals a quality or condition, like friendly, lively, lovely. These are not neutral. They carry emotional weight. Lonely emerged in the 1600s during the rise of individualism in Western Europe. The Protestant Reformation, the dissolution of communal religious life. It arrived precisely when humans started pulling apart from one another. Is that a coincidence? Or it's a pattern? Here's the most important distinction in this entire video. And I need you to really sit with it. Loneliness is not the same as being alone. The standard definition of loneliness is a perceived lack of social connection, not an objective one, a perceived one. Notice the word perceived. The single word perceived changes everything. You can be in a room with 500 people and still feel completely, devastatingly alone and lonely. You can be sitting in silence in a forest thousands of miles away from another human being and feel utterly connected to this world, to this earth, to this universe, to yourself, or to something larger. Loneliness is a state of mind, not a physical condition, which means it is something we can work with. There is a sibling of loneliness that deserves its own introduction: solitude. Solitude is chosen, loneliness often isn't. Solitude replenishes, loneliness depletes. The philosopher Paul Tillich once wrote that language has created the word loneliness to express the pain of being alone, and the word solitude to express the glory of being alone. Same physical state, opposite emotional experiences. One is a room you walked into freely, the other one is a room you can't seem to leave. Let's get into the neuroscience. What loneliness does to your brain is more dramatic than people realize. Neuroscientist John Cacioppo spent over 2 decades studying loneliness at the University of Chicago. His findings were extraordinary. When you feel loneliness, your brain doesn't just feel sad, it enters a threat state. Notice and observe that statement. Think about our ancestors just walking on the African savanna, being separated from their tribe. It didn't just make them feel bad, it was life-threatening. Predators, famine, just being alone meant you were vulnerable and you might die. So our brains evolved a system to motivate us to reconnect. Loneliness is that system. It's pain, the social pain, designed to push you back toward your group. Cacioppo found that lonely people showed elevated levels of cortisol, the stress hormone that is so much talked about in the fitness and in the wellness industry. Even while sleeping, we release cortisol. Their immune systems were chronically activated. Their cells showed increased expression of gene-related inflammation and decreased expression of gene-related anti-viral responses. In practical terms, prolonged loneliness raises your risk of heart diseases by 29% and stroke by 32%. That's a lot. Not to forget, it also increases your chances of getting dementia by over 50%. It is as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The body does not distinguish between physical threats and social ones. Loneliness feels to your body the same as a wound. It's quite flabbergasting and it's quite incomprehensible to understand that loneliness can be so powerful. Here's something even more fascinating. When you experience physical pain and when you experience social rejection, like being excluded, being ignored, abandoned, your brain activates the same regions. That's very fascinating. The anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior insula, the same neural circuitry. This is why heartbreak can actually hurt. This is why the phrase, "my feelings got hurt," isn't just a metaphor. In your nervous system, hurt is hurt. Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA did a famous experiment with a virtual ball tossing game called Cyberball. Participants were told they were playing with 2 other people online. Then, without warning, the other players stopped passing the ball to them. They were socially excluded in a fake game with strangers they'd never met. Brain scans showed immediate significant activation of pain centers. People reported feeling genuinely distressed. Some even reported physical sensation. Social exclusion is preceded by your brain as literal pain. Not metaphorically, but neurologically. Here's where it gets tragic and important. Cacioppo discovered something that he called the loneliness trap. When we are lonely, we become hyper-vigilant to social threat. We start reading neutral interactions as rejection. We become more defensive, more guarded, more self-protective. And those defensive behaviors, the withdrawal, the guardedness, makes us harder to connect with. Loneliness creates the very conditions that perpetuate loneliness. It's a closed loop. And without awareness, many people spend years, even lifetimes, trapped inside it. This is not a character flaw. It is a neurological response to threat and pain. Understanding that changes the conversation entirely. Sartre said hell is other people. Sartre's point was more subtle. Hell is being defined by the gaze of others, trapped by how they see you, unable to be yourself. But notice the paradox. Sartre also believed that authentic human experience required the other. We know ourselves through contrast. We define ourselves in relationships. Without others, who are we? Not a self, just a potential. Philosophy has wrestled with this for millennia. Are we fundamentally alone or fundamentally relational? Aristotle had a clear answer. He wrote that the man is by nature a zoon politikon, a political animal. Not political in the voting booth sense, political in the sense of the polls, the city, the community, the gathering of people, right? Aristotle believed that any person who did not need community was neither a god nor a beast, fully self-sufficient or subhuman. This wasn't a moral judgment. Developmental psychologist John Bowley spent his career studying one question: why do babies who are separated from their mothers show the same symptoms as adults in grief? His answer became attachment theory. We are biologically wired to seek proximity to a safe, caring figure. When we can't find one, or when we lose one, we enter protest, despair, and eventually detachment. The patterns we form with our earliest caregivers become the templates of every relationships we form afterward. Securely attached children, those who had consistently warm, responsive caregivers, grow up able to trust intimacy without fearing that it will disappear. They can be alone without feeling abandoned. Anxiously attached people, those who had inconsistent caregivers, often become hypervigilant in relationships, terrified of abandonment, unable to be truly comfortable even when connection is available. Avoidantly attached people, those who had emotionally unavailable caregivers, often shut down their need for connection entirely. They tell themselves they prefer to be alone. And sometimes they do. And sometimes that preference is pain wearing a mask. Understanding your attachment style isn't about blaming your parents. It's about understanding the map your nervous system is using and asking whether it's still the right map. Here's something fascinating that researchers have discovered. The experience of loneliness is profoundly shaped by how we interpret our aloneness. Two people can have identical social lives, same number of friends, same frequency of contact, and one will feel deeply lonely while the other will feel fully fulfilled. The difference is meaning. If you believe your relationships are shallow, transactional, or burdensome, you'll feel lonely, even surrounded by people. If you feel solitary, time is meaningful, creative, restorative, sacred, you'll feel connected even when you're alone. A researcher, Faye Bound-Alberti, who has written extensively on the history of loneliness, argues that much of our modern loneliness epidemic is a crisis of meaning, not connection. We have plenty of contact. We have a shortage of depth. That's pretty strong and wild. The Havard study on loneliness asked over 1,000 Americans what they believed was driving the loneliness epidemic. 73% of them pointed out to technology. But this needs nuance, because technology isn't inherently isolating. It's how we use it that matters. Passive use of social media, constantly scrolling, consuming, watching, consistently correlates with high rates of loneliness and lower self-esteem. You're watching curated performances of other people's best lives. You're consuming without connecting. Active use, reaching out, having real conversation, sharing vulnerably shows neutral or even positive effects on well-being. We built machines that let us be in each other's presence without ever actually showing up. That's not connection, that's spectatorship. And spectators, no matter how crowded the arena is, always watch alone. Loneliness and mental health are deeply intertwined, but the relationship is more nuanced then simply loneliness causes depression, or lonely people get depressed. Research shows that loneliness often precedes depression, anxiety, and suicidality. But it also exacerbates existing mental health challenges, setting up a feedback loop.
I'm in a loop. I'm caught in a time.
Depression makes it harder to reach out, harder to seem attractive or interesting, harder to believe that contact would even help. So you pull back, and the isolation deepens the depression. The Harvard study that was published revealed that 60% of the people believe that mental health challenges that harm relationships were one of the driving factors of loneliness, of this loneliness crisis. This is a structural problem. You can't fix mental health without addressing loneliness. You can't fully address loneliness without addressing mental health. These threads run through the same needle. We don't just live inside our feelings. We live inside structures, cities designed around cars rather than people, work cultures that celebrate independence rather than community, economic systems that reward self-sufficiency and penalize vulnerability. Sociologist Robert Putnam's landmark book Bowling alone documented a dramatic collapse in civic participation in America over the 20th century. Americans stopped joining clubs, leagues, unions, churches, neighborhood associations. The social structure, the social infrastructure that held communities together quietly dismantled itself. We didn't notice until we felt the absence. The Havard study found that 58% of Americans believe that living in an individualistic society is a significant driver for loneliness. This is striking because individualism is supposed to be freedom, and in many ways it is, but freedom and connection exists in tension. The more we optimize for individual autonomy, my choices, my preferences, my timeline, the more we erode the shared commitments and mutual responsibilities that make community possible. A community requires compromise. It requires showing up when it's inconvenient. It requires caring about people you didn't choose. We built a world that prizes having no obligation to anyone. And now we are surprised to find ourselves in a world where no one feels obligated to us. 66% of those surveyed cited insufficient time with family. 62% pointed to being overworked, too busy, too tired. We have engineered a society where productivity is the supreme virtue and presence is the casualty. We rush through dinners thinking about tomorrow's meeting. We half listen to our partners while mentally drafting emails. We are physically present and spiritually absent. And the people around us feel it, and we feel it in them. Connection requires presence, and presence requires time. And time has become the one thing we feel we never have enough of. This is not an accident. It is the design of an economic system that profits from our busyness. An idle worker is a worker who might ask questions. The dark night of the soul. Every major spiritual tradition has a name for what we'd call loneliness. In Christian mysticism, it's called the dark night of the soul, a term coined by Saint John of the Cross in the 16th century. He described this particular period as a period of spiritual dissolution, when the consolations of God seem to withdraw and the soul is left in a kind of holy emptiness. The key word is holy. This wasn't a punishment or a failure. It was a passage, The darkness was the birthplace of a deeper, less conditional faith. Loneliness in this frame is not evidence, is not something that you can say is abandoned. It is an invitation to discover what you carry within yourself when everything else is stripped away. Buddhism approaches loneliness from a complete different direction. The root of loneliness in Buddhist thought is the illusion of the separate self. The belief that you are a discrete I, standing apart from the rest of the world, needing to be filled by external connection. This I is a construction, a habit of mind, not ultimately real. Meditation practice at its deepest level is partly the practice of seeing through this illusion, of experiencing interconnected nature of existence directly, not as a concept. Many long-term meditators report that in deep meditation, the sense of isolation dissolves. Not because someone appeared, but because the sharp edges of self has softened. They did not feel less alone. They felt that alone had become a meaningless category, a meaningless thing. This is not escapism, it's inquiry. Buddhism doesn't say your pain isn't real. It asks you to look very carefully at the one who's hurting and discover something surprising. Rumi begins this great masterwork, the Masnavi, with the reed flute crying in pain. The flute is cut from the reed bed, separated from its origin. And its very pain is what produces its music. This is Rumi's central metaphor for the human condition. We are all in need. We are all reeds. We are all cut from something, from the divine, from unity, from our truest nature. And this separation is what makes us human. The longing is what makes art, music, poetry, and love possible. Loneliness for Rumi is not the opposite of connection. It is the proof of how much you need it. The depth of your longing is the measure of your love. Don't suppress the crying of the reed, listen to it. It's telling you where you need to go. Across traditions, Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, Sufis, the contemplative answer to loneliness isn't to find people. It's to develop a relationship with your own depth, to become comfortable with your own company, to discover within the silence there is something present, something that isn't nothing. Call it God, call it your true self, call it the divine, call it awareness, call it consciousness. The name matters less than the practice. The mystics didn't suffer less than we do. Many of them were profoundly isolated, in cells, in deserts, in forests, but they transformed their aloneness. They made it sacred. They found that in the deepest solitude, something unexpected begins to speak. Here's what I want to leave you with. Loneliness is not a flaw. It's a signal. Your nervous system is sending you a message. Something important is missing. Connection, depth, meaning, presence, you. The question is not how to make the signal stop. The question is, what is it pointing toward? Researchers like Sherry Turkle and others have argued that we've forgotten how to be alone. And in forgetting that, we've also forgotten how to be truly together. Because you cannot give something you don't have. If you can't be present with yourself, you can't be present with anyone else. The loneliness trap makes you withdraw. That's for sure. And I have experienced that. The antidote is the opposite. Make one genuine reach every single day. Not a text, a reach. A question that shows you actually see someone. A vulnerability you usually protect. Start small. Consistency matters more than grander gestures. Begin to notice the quality of your time alone. Are you avoiding something? Are you resting, creating, restoring? Solitude is a skill. If you've never practiced it, it feels like loneliness. Practice it deliberately. Even for 20 minutes a day, and watch what emerges. Loneliness is partly a cultural disease. It's a consequence of systems and structures that prioritizes productivity over presence. You're not broken for feeling it. Your longing is normal. Your pain is appropriate. And you're not alone in feeling alone. There are hundreds of millions of people right now who feel exactly what you feel. The awareness of shared loneliness is already a form of connection. The red fleet cries, and in its crying, it makes music. And in that music, something recognizes itself in something else. That's all connection ever was. One being calling across the silence to another. You are that being. The silence is real, and so is the call. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you really liked it, please share it to your friends and family. Make sure to give a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.